Hey guys, welcome to Ride for Rights. This is the bike I'll be using, and this is the test ride. All right, so I got a front handlebar bag, and what you're seeing on the bottom green is my sleeping pad I got hooked up, as well as I got a frame bag in the middle, and I've tied my backpack to the back frame right now, and you're going to see how that worked in a second. This is out in Santa Fe. I chose this path because it's a lot more difficult than what I'm going to be riding usually here. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of loose gravel and really steep hills, so that way I get a real gauge of how the bike feels, how it handles, and then how I'm doing with the extra weight as I go kind of up and downhill. So I'm riding along here, and this is the easy paved path. And again, I have my bike strapped on with some just typical bike packing straps, and we're kind of going over, and it's a little bit bumpy over this bridge. Now, you're about to see me stop, and the reason is I heard a kind of a weird sound by my off my wheel, and I thought the backpack had fallen off and made that noise, and it did fall off, and I couldn't find the straps anywhere that were attaching the backpack to it, so was looking all over the place, just right and left, couldn't find it, and then I kind of started walking back towards the bike, and then this is pretty much what happened here in a second. Oh my God, yeah, they were getting off looking at it. And
Yep, there they are. There it is.
yeah, so that was kind of wild. That took more than a minute to get off. They're pretty tightly around, wound around the spokes of the wheel and the disc brakes. So now I'm carrying the backpack on my back and continuing the ride over, just going past the train station right there. Right now, I don't have an ideal setup for what I'm trying to do here, but I do have something that works though. All right, let's listen to some music and enjoy the ride for a bit. All right, so we're hitting the part of the gravel trail now that's pretty loose sand. It's pretty slippery, and we're getting some more steep inclines here as well. So we're just entering here. So here's the way I packed up the bag. So I put up all the water bottles in the front handbag to test the strength of it. I probably won't do that on the ride. I'll probably put it in the middle frame bag. Currently, I have the middle frame bag packed up pretty heavy, and it was actually too wide, and it was rubbing against my calves, and actually ended up taking some hair off my legs from it. So here we go, kind of rolling through the gravel trail, nice horse trail. It's a nice day out. And if you look at all the beautiful plants in the area, I am allergic to all of them. So this was also an experiment, watching a man slowly lose the ability to breathe. So one thing I wanted to test on the gravel was how does the bike handle with all the extra weight and all the extra weight up high? Since I'm wearing the backpack, the weight is higher than it would be had I had it on the frame, and the bike is floating a little bit. It's got decent tires on it, but I'm kind of riding the brake all the way down as you're seeing here. And the reason I'm doing that is it is skidding out a little bit. I'm kind of using the all the way to the right edge of the trail. And yeah, that's because the handling is a little weird. So everything will be fine when I'm in California because I'm on all paved roads in California. But when I get to Nevada, it's something to think about. I might upgrade tires to something with a little more traction because I'll be on quite a few gravel trails. All right, let's get back to the music. right, so we finished the difficult part of the section of the trail. It goes on for another 10 miles, but it's a much more rolling hills and a little bit easier. So it's time to turn around. The setup worked pretty well, but frankly, my back's hurting a little bit from wearing the backpack, and I think it's time to go buy some panniers. So let's go to the local bike packing store and pick up some. One of the other things I noticed is how the bike handled with the bumps and stuff like that. So I have a road bike and have a mountain bike, but I've never really ridden a gravel bike before. And this was pretty smooth. Frame wasn't as stiff, and it did pretty well handling the bumps and stuff like that. So not too worried. I'm pretty happy with it. So we're about to come to a pretty big section right here, heading downhill with good speed, and we're going to go to the big uphill. And I'll show you kind of what I did. And it was a good test to see how the bike handled with the extra weight. And so about here, I'm going up, I'm lowering the gears, and then I kind of get out of the saddle and swing the bike like I usually do. And so it just swings way around. So the extra weight did not handle the way I cycle like that. So I will be climbing seated for this trip. So the short hills, it's not too bad with the extra weight, but the Rocky Mountains are going to be really tough with all the extra weight on the bike. Okay, so now I've dropped off the gear at my place, and I just have the backpack now, and I'm gonna go get some panniers at the bike packing store. So I kept the backpack so I could take all the stuff from the backpack and put it in the panniers and make sure there's enough space for everything. about to ride at the store and get the panniers. And we picked them up, and now it's time to go to the bike shop and get the bikes sent to California. All right, let's go. All right, guys, we're almost at the bike shop to get the bike shipped out. Thanks for watching the video. If you want to check out our website or our socials, it's in the comments below the video. Yeah, I appreciate you for watching. I see you out there. All right, remember the rides start on April 20th in San Francisco at the Golden Gate Bridge.